to Good Morning Gwinnett, a division of Noise Media Network, hosted by Audrey Bell Kearney, sharing stories about people and places around beautiful Gwinnett County and beyond. Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Southern living at its best.
Good morning, all my Gwinnetians out there in Gwinnett land and all of you around the world. Listen to the sound of my voice. It is a beautiful day here in Gwinnett County, 73 degrees, going up to a high of 83 with some chances of rain. Yes, it's going to rain. Hurricanes, you know, it's that time of the year where it's raining, but it's okay. It's okay because I got some sunshine from the tropical islands of Jamaica with me today. So even though we're going to have rain, we still going to have some sunshine today. I got a great guest. This is a special segment. Y'all know I interview people on Thursdays, but tomorrow I will be doing a press conference where you'll get a chance to meet some amazing people in the medical space talking about mental health, cancer, prostate cancer health, and the state of COVID around the world. So I'm excited about that. So today you got a guest. Tomorrow you have a whole panel. So I have to, you'll see me doing a panel tomorrow. You have to tune into the Good Morning Gwinnett Facebook page. So you can see the guest tomorrow, but you can also listen in as you normally do on your podcast platform, whether it be SoundCloud, iHeart, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, wherever you listen to the podcast, Spotify. You'll be able to listen to the show tomorrow as well as today. So I'm excited about this. I have a guest. You know, I call this guest right here, I call him the man, the myth, the legend. And y'all will find out why when I get into the interview. Because when I read his bio and I learned about who he was, I was like, Lord have mercy. I tried to take a real estate class and it wore me down 75 hours. So the credentials that he holds, when I tell you they're out this world, 75 hours like took me out. And I know, I love learning, but I did 75 hours of real estate class and I was like, oh Lord, I'd never do that again. So this gentleman has done way more than that, but I'm going to tell you more about him when I bring him on the show. In the meantime, let me go ahead, get ready to do the horoscopes, and let me tell you what the holiday for today is, because I want you to be able to take advantage of this really, really good interview. And we got a lot to unpack in this interview. So today is National Nurses Day, National Hematology Nurse Day, which is so crazy that this will be the holiday for today because my guest is a medical professional along with some other professionals that I'm not going to tell you until after I do the horoscopes. But it's National Hematology Nurse Day and National Ampersand Day. So those are your national holidays. Now I'm going to go ahead and get on with these horoscopes. Brought to you by noted astrologer Micah Tyson. For today, September the 8th, is hump day. You have made it to the middle. You are almost there. It is hump day, baby. You have made it to the middle. And we're going to go ahead and kick our horoscopes off like we always do, and that is with Aries. If you keep busy, you won't feel the personal pressures you are going through. Extravagance will be a problem. Romance can develop through social activities or short trips. Okay, so Aries, you're looking for some love, you might want to take a short trip or go out to some social events. You're looking for love, that's where you may find it, all right? I can't keep on talking about it today because I got a guest, so this is going to be short, y'all. It's going to be short. Yeah, I know I can elaborate on these things, but I won't do it today because I got a guest waiting. Taurus, take the time to help those less fortunate. Organize all the responsibilities that you have to be attended to, and make sure everyone knows what to do. Uncertainty about your relationship is prevalent. Ooh, there's some uncertainty going on in your love life. You might want to hang out with Aries and go take a trip, meet a new love. I'm just trying to help you out, Taurus. Gemini, later in the week, your boss will pat you on the back for a job well done. We like being appreciated, don't we? Changes in your home will be positive. Property investment should pay off. Do what you can, but don't jeopardize your health trying to please everyone. Let me just say this, Gemini, you cannot please everyone, so please stop trying. I don't care what you do. I think back to some people that I have helped. I'm talking about that I love and helped. And I look back now and I was like, man, I bent over backwards for these people, and they could care less about my feelings right now. And it's okay. It's all right. So you can't please everybody is my message to you today. Cancer, your charm will attract members of the opposite sex. Communication must be open, precise, and honest. Control your anger. Your communications today, Cancer, must be open, precise, and honest. Don't be passive. Don't beat around the bush. Be open, precise, and honest. All right? And control yourself. Control that temper. Got a temper. Control that thing. Leo, You will find that friends or relatives may not understand your needs. Your nerves are frazzled. You can make money if you're careful not to let it trickle through your fingers. Listen here. Close your hand, but don't close it too tight because nothing can't get in and nothing can't get out when it's closed too tight. Don't let it trickle through your fingers. Just leave it open just a little bit. Just a little bit. All right? Virgo. Someone you least expect may not have your best interest at heart. Outdoor sports events shouldn't entice you. Don't let others restrict you from saying how you feel about family issues. Listen, don't let nobody gag you today, Virgo. Say what you got to say. If they don't like it, oh well, so what? Move on. Go outside and have some fun. Go outside and do some outside sports. Have a little fun. I bowl in a league, so I'll be bowling tomorrow. That's not outside, but that is sports. All right, listen, I'm going to a song. I'll be right back after this song to give you more of the horoscopes brought to you by noted astrologer Michael Thyssen, so stay tuned.
I've been searching all around, and every time I see somebody who knows my girl, I'm saying, kiss my baby, I'm sad. Somebody tell me why, oh why, my baby let me ball in early. One Sunday morning, make me sit down on the floor, and I keep on calling. When me see my girl was missing, me come again. Me never know so much you would have been my girlfriend. She was my apple pie and me sugar dumpling. And each and every night she give me sweet, sweet loving. And the me things the way me see and make me sing. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. Every time I see my baby, say she's got me going up and down. I wanna go home to my baby girl and say, come on baby, let us get Somebody tell me why, oh why, my baby let me ball in early. One Sunday morning, make me sit down on the floor, and I keep on calling. When me see my girl was missing, me come again. Me never know so much you would have been my girlfriend. She was my apple pie and me sugar dumpling. And each and every night she give me sweet, sweet loving. And the me things the way me see and make me sing. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. Girl, you got me searching. Little girl, you got me searching. Girl, you got me searching. Little girl, you got me searching. All around. You got me searching. All around. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. I've been searching for my baby. I've been searching all around. And every time I see somebody who knows my girl, I'm saying kiss my baby, I'm sad. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do. So much things to say but me can't. So much things to do.
Like I wanted to sing. I messed up the song. I can't mess up the song, y'all. Did y'all like? So that's new music. And I'll tell y'all about that song on the other side of these horoscopes. That's some new music. And it's so funny because I can see my guest in the green room and he has a smile that's from here to Jamaica. And I'm sitting there laughing because that was a surprise, I'm sure. Listen, we had to plan this out. Listen, y'all know I love music. And that was a good song. I was like, yeah, I feel like I need to search for my baby. Searching for my... I'm not going to mess the song up. Let me go. Libra. You'll get along well with your colleagues today. You may come down with minor infections if you have allowed yourself to get run down. Your social skills with people may be more than helpful. Listen, don't let yourself get run down, Libra. Take care of yourself. You only get one body. You only get one you. I know we're all busy, but take care of yourself. Scorpio, creative endeavors will give you somewhat of an outlet. Oh, Lord, y'all know how I feel about being creative. I need to write a song. I ain't going to sing it, though. I might write one, but I won't sing it. I won't hurt y'all like that. Your anger may be impossible to contain if you get into debates with family members. Difficulties with family members may result in estrangement. Listen, family is what you have. Don't piss people off. Don't make them not want to be around you. Be nice. Just be nice. Sagittarius, find a way to consolidate. Get rid of some of that junk you got. Your involvement in interest groups may bring you popularity. Your passionate mood will be well received by your mate. Okay, you're going to have some passion today, Sag, and it's going to be well received, probably well needed. All right, be careful now. Capricorn, you need to look into new philosophies. Romance will be on your mind, and chances for ideal connections are in the works. Don't count your chickens before they hatch. You know that old saying, which came first, the egg or the chicken? Don't count your chicken before they hatch. And romance is going to be on your mind, and chances for ideal connections in the works, Cap. I don't know. It's romance in the air for the fall. Everybody want to get coupled up when it starts getting cold. In the summertime, nobody wants to be coupled up. Aquarius, you may want to look into warm vacation spots. Your self-esteem will come back if you take part in organizational functions that allow you to be in the limelight. Let them shine a light on you, baby. Spotlight. Look at the options before making commitments that could jeopardize your financial... Listen, look at them options before they can jeopardize your financial position. I always say this. If you don't know what the heck you're looking at, consult a professional. Do not sign on the dotted line until you talk to somebody who knows what they're doing. And today, Aquarius, something may jeopardize your money. We don't want nobody to mess with our money now, do we? Absolutely not. Last but not least, my fellow fish Pisces, you are best not to discuss your personal life with others. Your honesty will not only win you points, but also respect. Control your emotions and everything will fall into place. Listen, fish, we can't be emotional today, so don't be emotional. Control yourself. Everything is going to fall into place. And keep your business to yourself today. Don't tell anybody anything. Keep your personal life to yourself, because if you don't want to get out, then don't tell anyone, okay? All right, that's all the horoscopes I got for today. Now I got to get on with this show. I'm excited. So y'all heard that song I just played, right? Y'all know I love music. My show has a ton of music in it every day. But that song was written by, okay. When I heard all this right here, I told y'all, like, I did 75 hours of real estate and just, it killed me. I'm still here, but it beat me up. Now listen to this. So that was a song by a musician. Not only is he a musician, he's a doctor. Not only is he a doctor, he's an attorney. Who? The man, the myth, the legend. Dr. Peter Glegg. Dr. Peter Glegg, his accolades are out the chain. He is a senior advisor for the University Hospital of the West Indies, an internationally recognized academic institution affiliated with the University College of West Indies, initially tied to London University, located in Kingston, Jamaica. Haven't been to Kingston, was in Montego Bay though, had a great time. First time I drank coconut water for real, like real coconut water, like out the coconut, not that stuff you buy at the store. He's an attorney at law. He represents the interests of the hospital and emergency operations committee of the Ministry of Health and Wellness dealing with COVID-19 pandemic in Jamaica. We're going to talk about that. How has that affected them? He's also a member of the hospital COVID-19 Taskforce. He's a lecturer at the Norman Manley Law School on the Mona Campus of UCWI. He has a background in television. He's a musician. All of that. He, as well as student affairs and teaching. Dr. Glegg is a senior resident in general surgery at St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital in Jamaica and manages the care of cancer patients on a daily basis as a part of his medical practice. Dr. Glegg is considered a global expert in the field of telehealth. We're going to definitely talk about the telehealth law. He represents several conferences annually in Jamaica, especially on issues related to ethics and medical legal affairs. I think I said that right. Without further ado, y'all, without further ado, I would like to welcome the man, the myth, the legend, Dr. Peter Glegg to the show. Good morning, team, and welcome to the show.
Good morning, and thank you for having me. I just want to say before you go forward that I'm Aquarius. So when it said, choose a warm vacation spot, well, yeah, Jamaica is hot.
Right. Oh, I didn't know you were Aquarius. You live there all the time. Speaking of that, so is it hot all the time in Jamaica?
Well, Jamaica has several different climatic areas. Though we're a Caribbean island, usually the weather is very hot. But we have a central area in the island that's way up in the mountains. So the weather in the mountains is usually kind of weather you'd find here in Atlanta, where it's cool, rain, and a lot of fog during the winter months. So it depends on where in the island you are.
Okay.
If you're in the northeastern side, which is Portland, you tend to get a lot of rain. So it's almost like you're in London.
Okay.
If you're in the southwestern side, which is St. Elizabeth, then it's almost like a hot desert climate. And Ocho Rios and Montego Bay, which are the resort areas, tend to be somewhere in between. Nice, warm.
I came to Montego Bay, it was in August, and I remember, so it was so funny, we had so much fun. Oh my God, that was I'm never going to forget that. But they took us to the mountains, and we drove up this mountain. It was like never ending. We got to the top of the hill. Now, I'm not going to tell you what I saw when I got to the mountain, because I ain't going to say. But I had a party. Let me just say that. I had a wonderful time. And I was young. I was young, and I was with my boyfriend and his brother and the girlfriend. We had a great time in Montego Bay. And so we did go to the top of the mountain. It was beautiful up there too. I had such a beautiful time. That was the first time I drank coconut water straight out of a coconut. I remember going downtown Montego Bay, and the guy had a push cart. He had coconuts in the cart on ice, and when he pulled it out, he just took a machete and cut the top off and dropped the straw in. I have a picture somewhere, and I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. That was amazing. I gotta ask you this too. Let me tell you this story, Dr. Glegg. This is a funny story. So we get off the plane at the airport, right? We do a currency exchange. They give us back a stack of money. I think we exchanged like $300, right? They give us a stack of money. I was like, oh my God, we're rich. We're gonna be rich in Jamaica. We go to the store to get some snacks. I go inside the store, and there are some Oreo cookies. So when I pick the cookies up, they say $36. I said, $36, right? I said, the cookies. Then we picked up some Pringles. They were 36. I like 30. I quickly realized I was not rich in Jamaica. I just had a lot of money, but I had to pay $36 for these cookies. And I was like, oh my God, this is what is going to happen. It was hilarious, but I had so much fun in Jamaica. And I haven't gone back since, but I really need to go back and visit again. But I got to wait because of the pandemic. So we got to wait. So we're going to talk about that. But, your story is so interesting. Not only are you a musician, so that was your song. How surprised were you when you heard that song?
I was shocked. I mean, that's the last thing I expected. I couldn't stop laughing.
I know. I saw you. Someone texted me like, was he surprised when he heard his song? And I said, I think so. Yeah. So we playing that out. Uzma and I are playing that out. She's been working very hard. Listen, Uzma has been working very hard behind the scenes to make sure everybody and everything goes off well. So I told her the other day, we were in the office, and I said, something's gonna go wrong. And she's like, oh my God, because she's been working really hard to make sure everything goes smoothly. And so I'm so glad that this is going smoothly, and I'm happy to have you here. Your background is just so amazing and so interesting. And I want to give us a little bit. How did you grow up? You're from Jamaica. What part of Jamaica?
So I'm from a little town called Runaway Bay, and that's close to Ocho Rios.
Okay.
So I grew up literally on the beach, drinking lots of coconut water, going to the beach every day. As a kid growing up, I'd go to the beach so much. that my hair would be red, dyed red from the salt water and the sun.
Wow.
So I'm a beach boy. For high school, I went to boarding school, which was up in the mountains. And it took me a while to get adjusted to that because it's cold. You had to sleep with blankets and sweaters. And so that's called Knox College High School. And that's up in a town close to Mandeville called Spaldings. After high school, I went to another school in Kingston called Woolmer's Boys School. It's one of the oldest schools in Jamaica, a couple of 100 years old. And after that, I went to the University of the West Indies, Mona, and lived on the Great Taylor Hall. So I did my first degree in Bachelor of Sciences in Chemistry and Zoology. And I actually resided in South Florida because my mom is from South Florida and my siblings are from South Florida. So I was in South Florida for a while and I decided, oh, I need to go back to Jamaica. So I went back to Jamaica and I taught at Knox College for a year. And then I entered medical school. And that's 5 years. So now that's 8 years in university so far, right? Did 5 years in medical school. And then I went back to my home parish in St. Anne, which is close to Ocho Rios, where I worked for a while. That's in St. Anne's Bay, at the St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital. So it's one of the biggest hospitals in that side of the island. Did general surgery for a few years. In fact, I still work at the St. Anne's Bay Regional Hospital as a senior resident in general surgery. Did general surgery for a few years, and then one day, one of my mentors from the university said to me, Glegg, you always like to talk so much. Why don't you do law? And I was like, that's a good idea. I never thought about that before. It was a gentleman by the name of Peter O'Sullivan. So I applied. Now remember, in our country, people who get into law school are usually people who study like English, literature, and the arts and the languages, not science people. But I applied and I got accepted.
Wow.
So I did 3 more years, 3 years of law school. So that's 11 years now in university. And after law school, in the British system, when you get a law degree, it's called an LLB, which is a bachelor's in law. So you have to do 2 more years in order to be called to the bar, to be an attorney at law. So you can have a law degree, but not be an attorney.
Oh.
So I did 2 more years at Norman Manley Law School, where I was called to the bar, and I'm actually currently a lecturer there in forensic sciences. So it's about 13, 14 years I spent in university. Now, if you count my internship from med school, that's about 15 years. So,
that's a lot. Listen, that's a lot. But you know what? I think God doesn't give you more than you can bear. I'll say that. And he knew to put that on your shoulders because I went to paralegal school. I went to paralegal school, Dr. Glegg, and I was like, let me tell you, Dr. Glegg, I went to nursing school first. No, I went to paralegal school first, right? Because I thought I wanted to be an attorney. I did the whole year, got out, and I was like, yeah, I don't want to do this. That was the first time. I worked in a hospital for 8.5 years, and we were in a union. So I felt like, well, I work in a hospital. I need to make more money. I'm going to go to school to be a nurse, right? The union pays for your education. You go to school to be a nurse. Well, I went through 2 years of school for nursing, went to my clinicals, Dr. Glegg. The first day at clinicals, the first thing I had to do was change a colostomy bag. That was it for me.
No.
That was the first. I was done. Right. I almost didn't make it past the dissection of the rat. I almost didn't make it past that. They was like, you got to cut the rat. I was like, I'm not cutting the rat. They was like, at least put some blood on your gloves. It look like you're doing something. So I made it past that part. Then I go all the way through nursing school. 2 years, me and one of my best friends get to clinicals. The first day of colostomy bag. I was standing outside the door, my back against the wall, like, I am done. This is it. But my mom told me, she said to me before I even got into nursing school, she said, why are you doing that? And I said, because they make a lot of money. They get all these days off. I need to do that. She said, but you don't like that. I said, yeah, but they make a lot of money. And that's all I kept saying. They make a lot of money. And so that truly turned into like a waste of my time. Not really, because I learned a lot. What was crazy is I had A's in A&P. A&P 1 and 2, I had A's. People like, who gets A's in A&P? I like science and math. That was me. But anyway, so now you're an attorney. you're a doctor. How do you balance all of that? Because that's and you're a musician, and you're listen. Let me tell you this. They told me when you so this interview was supposed to be in person, live in the studio, right? And when I thought he was coming to the studio, I was told that 25 Secret Service men was coming with him. I was like, who the heck am I interviewing? Like the president? So, so I was told that 25 servicemen, it probably was gonna be a drone flying over the building. No, I'm just made that part up. I just made that part up. But how do you balance all of that? Because that's a lot of work. How do you balance that?
Well, music helps me to clear my mind because I do surgery, and most of the stuff I do in surgery is high intensity, a lot of operations, a lot of difficult decisions, a lot of responsibility. I got more gray hair than my mom. You know,
So did
uh,
I.
but as you said, nursing and medicine, it's really a calling. And if you're not accustomed to dealing with, the blood and body parts and so on, it can be traumatic.
Yes.
So what I do is my current setup is that during the week, Monday to Friday, I'm the attorney at law for the University Hospital of the West Indies, which is the top teaching hospital in the Caribbean, English speaking Caribbean. So during the week, I'm an attorney. On Friday evening, I go to St. Anne's Bay Hospital, where I now take up my duty as a senior resident in general surgery.
Okay.
So, I pretty much run the firm Friday night, sometimes for the entire weekend. Now, these are two totally different ways of thinking, right?
Yes.
Law is more intellectual, it's more, poetic. Medicine is about knowledge. What are the 10 causes? What are the 20 complications? So it's two different ways of thinking. So usually on my drive down, I make that mental change. So it's almost like I have two personalities now. So on the drive from Kingston to Ocho Rios, I make that transition
Mm.
from lawyer to doctor. But
Mm.
I tell you something, there's one weekend when as far as I knew, I wasn't on call that weekend. So I didn't make the change. And about 9 o'clock the night, my boss, who is my attending surgeon, Dr. Ian Titus, called me and he's like, the patient is in the operating room. We're ready to start the case. I'm like, which case? So it's like, you're on call, but I live 5 minutes from the hospital.
Okay.
So jumped in my car, did the surgery, completed that duty for the following night, for that night. And the next day, he called me in his office and showed me some of the patient's notes. And he's like, what's going on? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, look at what you wrote. The allegations are the perpetrator did this. And they were all
Oh
legal
my God.
terms that I wrote in the notes because I
Wow.
hadn't made that transition.
That's funny. That's a funny. So so the patient got law notes in their medical record. That's funny.
Yes.
So now that so I so the transition to balance, so the music balance you out. How long have you been in music? How long have you been in the music space? Because I love the song, by the way. I was like, that is so freaking cool.
Thanks. Well, I started out in music from my days in South Florida. Used to hang out with quite a few well-known Jamaican musicians. There's a producer called Dr. Paul.
Hmm.
Was a good friend of my sister, and we used to go to the studio a lot. So I really got into songwriting. But because of my background in the media, when I was going to school at Wilmer's Boys School in Kingston at age 16, I did a television show in Jamaica for about 3 or 4 years. So I was the host of a television show for kids.
Nice.
So I was in television for a while. So I literally grew up in the studios, got a lot of training. The place is called Creative Production and Training Center, CPTC. So they train you. So I got a lot of training in script writing, in video editing, writing for stage, for radio. And so it was just a natural transition into the studio. So the studio was not a surprise to me. So I've always been going to the studio throughout the years. And so in my part time, I still go to some of the top studios in Jamaica, and record music. And every now and then I'll sing on one of the tracks.
So if you had to give up anything right now and pursue one thing, you had to give up law, medicine or music and pursue one of those things, which one would you give up?
Music, music,
You would give it
music.
up?
I would live in the recording studio.
So you would give up the other two and then focus on music?
I love music. You know, most Jamaicans are singers and songwriters. You know, you talk to any average Jamaican, they tell you they have a little notebook that they write their songs in. You know, so which is why we produce for such a small country. Aside from producing great athletes, which has to do with the genetics of the Jamaican population, we produce in terms of our influence in the global cultural sphere. Jamaica, for a small country, is way up there. So, you know, Jamaicans love music. I love reggae music. I love every music, R&B, hip hop, dance hall, classical. I live in the studio every single day and night.
Oh, so you would give up medicine, you would give up law, and you would be full blown musician. I love it. Listen, I love it. Now, what's stopping you from doing that? Is it not time yet?
It's not that time as yet. And, you know, I, from my days in medical school, you know, I grew up in a very humble home. Both my parents were hardworking people. And I made a decision early in my career that I would serve my people, the people of Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've always worked in the public health system. I'm a government doctor, you know, and in Jamaica, you know, healthcare is free. So I've
Mm.
always believed in giving back to my country, serving my people, and I've always worked in the government health system all of my life as a medical doctor. One of the difficulty returning home to my hometown, I thought about going into private practice a couple of times, but it's such a small community. How could somebody who used to make peanuts for me or pick coconuts for me come to me as a doctor and I charge them money?
Mm.
I couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how could I charge somebody who I went to church with as a kid if they come in sick and they need care? You know, you know, I die poor.
Mm-hmm.
So when I thought about going into private practice and I thought about, you know, me making money, I figured I'd probably do the work for free. So might as well I work for the government. They pay me to give free health care.
That is, I didn't know that. I didn't know healthcare was free. I didn't know that. Now let me ask you this, because we struggle over here in the United States when it comes to healthcare. We struggle with all of the rules and regulations and legislation, and we struggle. How first of all, you said Jamaica is small. How small is Jamaica?
Jamaica has a population of about 3 million.
Okay.
And of the 3 million, more than a million is in the city, in Kingston,
Okay.
or the surrounding principalities. I can drive from the eastern side to the western end of Jamaica in about 4 hours,
Okay.
4.5 hours.
Okay.
From going from Ocho Rios to Kingston, which is from the north-south side, it takes me an hour and a half, and I
Mm.
drive slow. So it's not a very big island, but it's not big in geography, but it's big in culture as a
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
you know?
So you said healthcare is free. One of
Yes.
the things that we struggle with in America is healthcare and access to healthcare. A lot of times, if you don't have insurance, you really can't get served, or you get served very poorly. How is that different? How's your government handling free healthcare? Like, because they claim it can't be done here. Oh, it can be done. It can be done. Now they do it in other parts of the world, but it can be done in the greatest country supposedly in the world. How does the government handle that? Like, who pays for the healthcare for the people, the government, and where do they get their revenue from? If you know that question.
Right. So the government started um, maybe about 10 years ago, started the system of free healthcare under and I must declare I'm a non-partisan person, but under the current administration, the current government, while they were in power earlier on, they decided that they were going to make healthcare free. Prior to that, if you came to the public hospital to be seen and you didn't have any money, you would not be turned away.
Mm.
But you'd get a bill and then, you know, we'd collect the money later on. But a decision was made that, you know, every single Jamaican would have access not only to free education,
Mm-hmm.
at least at the primary level, and sponsored at the secondary level, but also free health care. So I think it's paid for. Jamaica is not a very wealthy country, but I think that the mindset behind it is that if you have a healthy population, then you will have a productive population. And many times, too often when healthcare is expensive, someone will stay home sick and don't go to the doctor because you don't have the money to pay, and then you turn up when it's too late. So in our system, in the public health system, we do have a private healthcare system as well, where you pay if you have the money or if you have health insurance. But in the public healthcare system, nobody is turned away, and there is no billings department really. There's not someone coming to you and giving you a bill at the end of the stay. It makes good, especially for maternal and child health care. But I think it's a pretty good thing, because even at the University Hospital of the West Indies, where I work, which is semi-private, semi-government. So we charge at the University Hospital of the West Indies because we're a teaching hospital affiliated with the University of the West Indies. So we train doctors and nurses and radiologists and all the healthcare specialties. So we charge at the University Hospital, but if you come to the University Hospital and don't have money, we will not turn you back, because we're partly sponsored by the government of Jamaica as well. So whatever the procedure, if you need open heart surgery, brain surgery, cardiac catheterization, we will not turn you back if you can't pay. Wow. So I think Jamaica is not rich. Most of our revenue is from tourism, which with this COVID crisis has created some difficulty and backside and so on. But being such a small country, I think is workable.
So now that's a good segue into the COVID situation. So COVID is just wreaking havoc everywhere. I make a joke about it, but it's not funny. But I said on the show yesterday, I said, Corona came over and she started a sorority. She got Delta, she got Lambda, now Mu showing up. It's a whole sorority over here just mutating its way around, But COVID is definitely a serious situation. I lost my mom to COVID in January. Yeah, I lost my mom to COVID in January. So even though I try to make light of it, it's very serious. How has having a free healthcare system helped you guys mitigate some of the transmission of COVID, because people can come to the doctor or they can get the services that they need? How has that helped?
Well, I must say also that I've lost a close family member as well, and quite a couple of friends from COVID as well. But having access to the free healthcare in Jamaica, it prevents an individual who is sick from not wanting to go to seek health care.
Yeah.
One of the problems that we have in Jamaica is that we have been really trying to, the Ministry of Health, and I think they've been doing an excellent job. The Minister and his team has been doing an excellent job, the Chief Medical Officer, in trying to control the spread of COVID, to limit the stress it places on the hospital. So just like every other country in the world, whenever we have a spike, as we had recently, it tends to want to overwhelm the hospital system, because there are too many people turning up sick, requiring care. So what we've really tried hard to do is an education program. We've been having vaccination blitz throughout the island, in schools, in churches, in our national arena, just to try to get the population vaccinated. And all the vaccinations are free, by the way. The other thing that we have done, you see, our laws in Jamaica are a little different from the laws here in the US, where we have laws on our books, and some of our laws are coming back from the British days, because we're a British colony. But under some of our laws, the government has the power to limit the freedom of movement of individuals in order to protect the rest of the population from the spread of a contagious disease. So if you look at the Jamaican Constitution, I think it's section 13 that speaks to the fundamental rights and freedom. It says, the Jamaican people are afforded all these rights and freedoms, but we take it back to prevent the spread of a contagious disease. So currently in Jamaica, for instance, in order to deal with the recent spike we had, what the government did was that they had 3 days of the week that they call no movement days, which is pretty much a partial lockdown. So Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday is a stay-home day, while the other days you're allowed to go to work. Of course, essential services can go out every day if you're a doctor, in the oil industry and so on. So one of the things, and I see the effects of it, and the numbers are actually going down. So what we did was to create a partial lockdown. We also have nightly curfews in Jamaica. So between the hours of 8 or 9 p.m. and 5 a.m., there's a curfew, so you can't leave home unless you are an essential worker or you have a good reason or some documented permission to do so. And you can be prosecuted if the police stop you on the road and you don't have the proper paperwork. You're going to be before the judge. So that's one of the things that we have been trying to do, is to limit the movement in order to limit the spread. And by limiting the rate of infection, then we can reduce the impact on the healthcare system.
Ooh,
and it's working, because I know the numbers are going down now. I saw where the CDC has labeled Jamaica a level 4 country, and I saw it on the internet this morning that they have advised Americans not to travel to Jamaica for the time being. And I think that's going to change very, very quickly, because, as far as I know, we had a surge recently, but that is being controlled by the measures that have been put in by the government, the strict measures that have been put in. I don't know if you can do that here in the States, man, but, we had to do it in Jamaica, and I see where it's working.
Dr. Glegg, we can't do, let me tell you something. I think about the shutdown. I want to say Georgia shut down for a hot second, right? I'm in Georgia. Georgia shut down for a minute. People are suing the Board of Education because they don't want their kids to wear masks. Like, I'm like, and I saw this, and this was sad. I saw a news segment yesterday on CNN, and there was a young lady. She had 2 small kids. She and her husband, 2 small kids, like a baby and like maybe a 3-year-old. They thought it was a government conspiracy. They didn't. I'm saying to myself, how do you think this is? You see all these people dying. How do you think that's a government conspiracy? Well, they thought it was a government conspiracy. He was a firefighter, and then he got it, and then he died. And now she's saying it's not a conspiracy. Well, it shouldn't have to touch someone in your family for you to see that people are dying. But because it doesn't touch their families, it's a conspiracy. And I talk about it a lot. I don't talk about it as much as I used to, because, it kind of depresses me a little bit, because, I think about my mom, who would say, she was the first one in our house that I'm taking the vaccine. Everybody in the house like, we're not taking that vaccine. Everybody was like, we're not taking it. My mom said she was taking it. She didn't even get a chance. She was 1 month out before they started administering, before she could have taken it, and she didn't get a chance. And that was something that happened from my granddaughter going to daycare. That's how we all got exposed. And so people are suing for everything over here. Like, they don't want to wear the mask. They don't want to shut down. They just want to spread it out. And Delta and Lambda and Mu, they have come to town, and they are wreaking havoc once again. So I applaud Jamaica for saying, listen, we're going to shut down for 3 days. Y'all going to stay home and cook some jerk chicken and stuff. When I was over there, I ate so much jerk chicken. Dr. Glegg, I ate so much jerk chicken when I was in Jamaica. I mean, I could have just flew back home by myself. I had never eaten jerk chicken before until I came to Jamaica. And I ate so much. Let me tell you what I did, though. And I hate to digress, y'all, but I got to tell this story while it's in my head. So I stayed at Montego Bay at the Wyndham Rose Hotel, right? That's where we stayed. So they got a pool. Inside the pool, they got a bar. And so I'm sitting at the bar inside the pool. So the bar is inside. I'm sitting at the bar, and they got this hot sauce. And I'm thinking it's ketchup. And I take it and I pour it on my French fries. And oh my God, when I tell you my whole body was on fire. I was like, I should have just dived in the pool, because that's the hottest hot sauce I've ever eaten in my life. And I told my girlfriend I was bringing it back. So she and my uncle, they loved it. They made some crab salad. I brought 2 bottles back. That stuff was so, I can't remember the name of it, but it was hot. It was hot. I know I digress, y'all.
We have some of the hottest pepper in Jamaica, the Scotch bonnet pepper, and I mean, that is super hot. It's scary hot. But there are some people in Jamaica who love pepper. You have to understand our culture.
Yeah.
You see, Jamaica is made up of primarily Caucasians, blacks, Indians, and Chinese. and we blended throughout the years. And so the curry and the spicy food, I think, was introduced into Jamaica by the Indians from India and so on, who came to Jamaica in the early 1800s. So they brought spicy food to Jamaica. So in Jamaica, for instance, if you have a big party, it can't be a good party if you don't have curried goat. That's like a staple.
Right.
And that's serious pepper. The other thing about jerk food is that in terms of the history of Jamaica, the first occupiers of Jamaica was the Spanish, which is why a lot of places have Spanish names like Ocho Rios.
Oh.
So while the Spanish were there, they had slaves, and a lot of those slaves escaped and went into the mountains. And they're known as the Maroons.
Oh.
So they actually, when the British came, they fought with the British, and they actually won. They beat the British.
Wow.
Like, seriously. And the British, just as how Americans, Indians, the Native Americans have reservations here, the Maroons have their reservations in the hills of Jamaica, and they have their own laws. So they are the ones who invented jerk, where they started hunting the pigs and so on, and they would cook them on a fire with pimento sticks. So from the sticks, that's over that slow fire, they'll get that flavor, and then later on, they added the sauce and the pepper and everything. And yeah, I love jerk everything.
I know. Listen, I know we digressed, y'all. I know. I had to tell that story while I was in my head. I know we jumped from COVID-19 to jerk chicken. I get it. I know, and I'm gonna go back. So there's a question. There's a question in the room. So the question is, are you having problems over there with people who don't want to be vaccinated? Because over here, that's a problem. Like, you got people fighting, they want to shoot you, they don't want to be vaccinated because they feel like it's a conspiracy. And as African Americans over here, I can understand when all African Americans say, I don't want to get vaccinated, because I was one of them until my mother passed away, and I was like, okay, now I got to get vaccinated. Are you having an issue with people not wanting to be vaccinated over there?
Okay, so let me first state that I'm fully vaccinated as a healthcare worker, because I have have had to operate on COVID-19 patients. And, so I got my vaccination early out. We do have some resistance. There are some members of the population who are resistant to, getting vaccinated. And I don't think it reflects the majority, but there's a significant amount. So what the government has been doing is public education. And I think a lot of times the problem with the issue is education. If people understand the science of it, which we don't have to get into, and you educate the public, then I think it'll work. I did notice, however, that recently, when we had this most recent spike, man, you had people lining up like around the block for the vaccination. So I think when people started realizing that, listen, this COVID thing is serious, and people start losing friends and close family members, a lot of people, we started getting an uptick in the number of vaccinations, because there's a vaccination center close to my office in Kingston. And I mean, there are mornings I'm going in and the line is like going down the road. So I think it's working. I think it's going up. But, we also have a diverse culture in Jamaica. And there are, for instance, I can't speak on behalf of the Rastafarian community, but I know that from my just talking on the street with the Rastas, the Rastas really, they are not going to be much involved in that kind of stuff, but, because they take things on a higher level, if you know what I mean.
Yes, I do.
But for the general population in Jamaica, though, I think more and more people are seeing the importance of getting vaccinated, and we've been having blitzes throughout the island, and people are coming in, people are lining up, so I think it's working. There will always be the few that you can't convince. But for me personally, when anyone asks me, should I get vaccinated, I always say to them, listen, because I've had people who are like absolute anti-vaxxers. And I guess being a doctor, and they know I work on the task force, they'd ask me, say, honestly, as a friend, put being a doctor aside, what do you think? You think I should get vaccinated? And my answer is always this. I say, listen, if you have any doubt, just do the math. Do a risk-benefit assessment. Okay? what's the risk of getting the vaccination as compared to the risk of not being vaccinated? Our numbers in Jamaica, I know definitely for the university hospital, we've found that if I can quote my boss, Dr. Carl Bruce, who's the medical chief at the university, I think he said about of the recent COVID cases we had, like 94% of persons who were hospitalized were not vaccinated.
Wow.
And of those who were vaccinated who came in ill, they had only got one of the two shots, so they were not fully vaccinated.
Okay.
So the numbers speak for itself.
Yeah.
So I do understand, people saying, hey, this thing is new, we don't know enough about it. But the technology's been around for a while, and you have to just do the math. Do a risk benefit assessment, and especially me, I lost a close cousin to COVID-19, and so I took the vaccine.
Yeah, I did too. The first person we lost was my uncle. He was the first person, and then the second person was the best man at my wedding. Lost him, and then my mom, and then one of my good friends, and then recently a cousin. So it has just been. Now let me ask you this, because I know they were saying, and then I want to talk about prostate cancer after this, and I don't want to keep you too long. So let me know, Oich, I gotta go, and I totally want to respect your time, but they were saying that underlying health issues was one of the main cause of people who were dying. It wasn't just from the virus itself, but the underlying issues. Like my mom did have COPD, and so she already had respiratory issues. So when COVID attacked her, because we were taking everything, we were taking the zinc, the vitamin C. We had so many vitamins. Amazon was at our house like every day, dropping off a vitamin pack. And so, and I think that's why the rest of us was able to fight it off better. But she was already compromised with her lungs, and just out the gate. Do you find that a lot of people who have passed away from the virus already had underlying issues, like something with the, diabetes or high blood pressure or overweight? I've heard all kinds of things.
Well, one of the first things I noticed, and it was a nurse who said it to me earlier, because she was a nurse who worked directly with the COVID patients, and this was early before the studies came out. I saw her one day. I was just checking up, saying, how things going on your flora and so on. And she said, I've been noticing something. Most of the people who die, so this is not a scientific discussion, or this is just hearsay.
Right.
And this was early out. She said she noticed that when they are obese, they don't do so well.
Mm.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So that was the first thing I noticed. Later on in the pandemic, we started noticing that, yes, if you had underlying conditions, then you usually don't do so well. Now, the funny thing about COVID-19, I find, is that the majority of the people who get the infection are asymptomatic.
Mm-hmm.
They show no symptoms at all. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's dangerous.
Yeah.
Because I could be feeling good. I have COVID and I'm shedding the virus.
Sorry about that. Someone just... Okay, listen, y'all. That never happens. Like, somebody actually tried to call in, and it's probably going to pop up again, which is weird. Look. That's so crazy. Who is that? And I can't turn off the phone. Dr. Glegg, I think they want to talk to you. You cannot call in and talk to him. You can go to Facebook and put your comments in the comments section, and we can ask your question. That's so weird, though. That's really weird. Like, that actually called in. I'm gonna have to check that out. So now,
right. So real quick, what we've noticed now with this new variant recently, we've noticed a lot of young people, a lot of people who have no underlying illnesses, getting sick and dying. So I have to look to the numbers from the scientists, but that's just my observation now, being in the hospital and so on. That is troubling. That is
very troubling, because a lot now, are they in a certain age range? Because I know that they here in the States, you can only get vaccinated if you're 12 years and older. Are the children that you find that are passing away, are they in a certain age range? Are they smaller than 12 years, younger than 12 years old?
From just off the top of my head, I can't think of any youngster that has died in Jamaica, just off the top of my head. You know, I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I do know that we've had a few persons, including babies, who tested COVID positive. You know, so we're seeing younger people, but I don't know of any young deaths.
Okay.
But I do know younger people, in terms of younger adults, are dying in this recent variation of the virus.
And that's the Delta variant.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah, you know, that's what I'm saying. So now we got Lambda, and Moo just arrived. Like, oh, it's just crazy. All right, so I want to switch gears for a minute because I know the reason Dr. Glegg and I are talking is because he's a part of the International Health Summit here, sponsored by the Gwinnett County District Attorney's Office and the Prostate for. Let me say it right because I don't want to mess it up. The Georgia Prostate Cancer Coalition. I want to make sure I say it right. They're having an international summit this coming Friday, and he's one of the panelists sharing all his wisdom about prostate cancer. One of the things we find here that men do not like to go and get their prostate checked, and so that's why it's such a high mortality rate, especially among African American men. Do you find the same situation in Jamaica that men they don't want to get it done? Now I've learned recently that the medical way to check men is some technical things you can do now. There's not the way they used to do things, some new ways of doing things. So I'm hoping that the new technology will help more men say, you know what, let me go take the test and get checked out. But right now, I don't think a lot of them know about it, and they're like, yeah, I'm not getting that checked, or I don't want to know. Do you find that's the case in Jamaica?
Well, let me start by saying that in Jamaica, we've found over the years that there's a high level of prostate cancer in black men of West Indian origin. And even when they leave Jamaica and go to the United States or to the UK, the numbers are still high in that population. So in terms of the cause of cancer deaths in Jamaica among males, I think prostate cancer is way ahead. Now, this is troubling to me because, you know, just a few months ago, you know, there's a patient I knew who died from prostate cancer. And one of the things about prostate cancer is that it sometimes spread to the bone in your spine, in your lower back. So it's a painful, agonizing condition. And I mean, it's just such a painful death. And prostate cancer is such a slow growing cancer that if you detect it early, many times you can prevent death and all the things that come with it. And so early detection is key. Now, the gold standard in my training in medical school of detecting a cancerous gland is doing what is called a digital rectal examination, or a DRE, where the doctor has to put a finger in the rectum to feel the prostate, because on the anterior surface, you can actually physically feel the prostate. Okay? And if it feels hard, then you know that this is suspicious. You do a biopsy. There are other tests that you can do, such as a blood test, which is called a PSA, prostatic specific antigen, that will give you an idea. The thing about the PSA is that the PSA can be elevated not only by cancer, you can have an inflammation of your prostate, prostatitis, or you can just have an enlarged prostate, which is called a benign prostatic hyperplasia, that can also raise your PSA. So usually what happens is that if the PSA is elevated, then you have to investigate further. And nowadays people talk about doing an MRI of the prostate that, you know, can show with some amount of certainty and so on. But definitely in my country, a lot of Jamaican men, you know, macho, and I'm sure it's the same among black men, you know, in Georgia, this idea of having somebody putting a finger, you know, there to check is considered to be maybe demeaning in some respects to men. You know, they think it's going to affect their manhood.
Right.
Guys, when guys come to me and say that, I say, okay, go to a female urologist if you have an issue with that, you know. And you know, so, but the reality is a discomfort for a few seconds is not worth the discomfort of pain and suffering and a very painful death. And it all comes back down to numbers, risk-benefit analysis. Okay, you feel uncomfortable. It's not painful, by the way, but it feels uncomfortable for a few seconds. you know, as compared to dying from prostate cancer.
Yeah.
Something if you detect it early, you can prevent this.
How often
So
should
that is
men
why
get?
I, yes, go ahead.
How often should men get checked for prostate cancer? Get their prostates checked.
So depends on which literature you look at. People will say different things. For me personally, the advice I give is some people say your late 40s. I say, okay, once you're 50, you should really start getting serious about checking on your prostate. There are some people who would say 45. Some people recommend you start earlier than 50. But between 45 and 50, definitely at age 50, you should do your first PSA,
Hmm.
all right? Or you should go and see a urologist or your doctor to do a prostate exam, you know? And based on that, based on the results, the doctor may say, come back 6 months, come back, see you next year, or so on. So it depends on what the first test show, but definitely where you need to start is starting your first check to see how things are, you know, and it's so important. It's no different from having a woman doing a pap smear
Hmm.
routinely.
Hmm.
For a man, you have to do your PSA, you have to check your prostate.
Lord knows we hate doing pap smears. I'm just gonna say it. We don't like them, but we get them done anyway. And we hate mammograms just as much because they hurt. The pap smear is like, it's like invasion. Mammograms is just painful, but it's only for a second, and it can save your life. The last thing I want to touch on is telehealth because I realized with the pandemic, there were a lot of people who just would not go out the house, who could not get out the house, and the way to get a prescription was to call a doctor on the telephone. And telehealth has been around for a minute, but now I feel like it's more prevalent. How do you feel? What's your thoughts about telehealth and as we move forward? Because I know it's helpful, right? But I also know that there are a lot of scam artists out there, some highly sophisticated scam artists out there that can do pretty much anything they want to do because of technology. And so I have a fear that if you don't know your doctor and you're just calling a number, you may be calling a scam. So what are your thoughts about telehealth health and the security? And how can we make it secure moving forward? Because I've heard some stuff about blockchain technology making it more secure, and you got privacy issues and people medical records all in the telespace. What's your thoughts on that?
So, with this COVID-19 pandemic, the world will never be the same again.
Mm-mm.
This is a game changer for humanity. It'll just as so after 9/11, the world changed.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to change humanity
Yeah.
in an indelible way.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, lucky for us at this time, while we had, because the last global pandemic was probably 1914 to 1918, the so-called Spanish influenza. Luckily for us, during this pandemic, we have the technology, internet, and remote communication. We had been experimenting with telemedicine in Jamaica through our Ministry of Health long before the pandemic, but the time for telemedicine has come. It does have certain limitations. For instance, usually, I mean, typical medicine training is a hands-on thing. The doctor talks to you, touch, listen. But telemedicine is improving, and I think it's the way to go. There are some legal issues regarding the whole issue of consent and how to protect yourself as a medical professional from lawsuits and so on, and how do you know if the person on the other line is of the age of consent? It could be a 10-year-old girl.
Mm.
How do you know? How do you verify these things? So it's a two-way street. Just as you say, it's important to verify if the person on the line is actually a doctor. There's going to be the also issue of the doctor verifying who is that person on the other line. Could it be a drug addict who just needs
Mm.
some codeine or something?
Yeah.
So it's a two-way street. So definitely the security of telemedicine has to be taken into consideration. Definitely the whole legal aspects of it and the duties of care and so-called standard of care. But to me, I say keep going to the doctor who you trust. So whoever was your doctor before, if that person can't see you on the telemedicine platform, ask your doctor or health professional to recommend someone to you. Don't just go
Mm-hmm.
online and Google, okay, telemedicine, I click on that doctor because that person's cheap. I would say go through the referral system and ask your doctor to refer you to a telemedicine platform. I know definitely it's taking off in Jamaica, and it's going to be the way of the future.
I think it's helped a lot of people. I know when we first got sick, the first thing we did was just call our doctor. She talked to us right over the telephone, calling the prescriptions, and we were able to just run, pick them up, and come back in the house. And I had a video telemedicine visit one time with through my husband's insurance where he was able to. He was like, "You want to do video?" And I was like, "Yeah," because I need him to look at my throat. He was like, "Take the camera, because I do video, so I got all kinds of camera. Take the camera, let me see." And I was able to let him see. So I think it's I think it's a great thing. I feel like with new technology like blockchain, we'll be able to secure the line so people information doesn't get out, and we can prevent medical fraud. And because they're out there waiting and working, and just to make things worse for us. But I feel like we have some great technology coming down the pike. Now this is we're gonna flip it a little bit. We're gonna do a little fun. So, who was an influence in your life?
Wow. Okay, so major influence in my life, Martin Luther King, definitely. Bob Marley,
Mm,
definitely. Uh, the Tuskegee, if I pronounce the word properly, Tuskegee Airmen,
Tuskegee.
um, Tuskegee Airmen, definite influence. In recent times, um, Mr. Obama, um, definitely. And I think for me, those were some of the major people who influenced me and my path in life. Because my approach in life has always been this: I have no limits.
Mm,
There's nothing that can limit me. If I can think it, I can do it.
hmm
If someone has done it before, then I can do it. Because I'm no different from any other human. And if I get up tomorrow and decide I want to be a rocket scientist, believe me, I'm going to be a rocket scientist. There is no limit. I must add another person. One of my big persons who really changed the course of my life, if I can say real quick, I know the
Yeah,
time is
no, go
running out,
ahead, go
but
ahead. You got the floor.
um, there is a guy called um, Tony Robbins, Anthony
Mhm.
Robbins.
Mhm.
And I'll tell you a little story. I went to a book sale one day and I saw he had a book called Unlimited Power, and I bought it for 25 cents per quarter. And that was the best quarter that I've ever spent, because he was one of the persons that really helped me to learn to focus my mind. I'm also influenced, of course, by the Bible and my mom, Cherry, who is a born again Christian. So I grew up in the church. I grew up getting prayer 24/7. And I think one of the things that took me through a lot of my 15 years in studying, there are many a times I felt like giving up. I'll be honest, there are many times I felt like giving up. And you just have to believe in yourself and believe in the creator, in the divine being, that if he can create this heaven and earth, he can make it happen for you. And I've gone in exams. I'm not going to advise anybody to do it, but I've gone in exams on a prayer and got an A. But you just have to believe in yourself. You have to know that you can do whatever you want. you know there's nothing beyond me. There's nothing I cannot achieve. And that has always been my mantra. So I always look up to great achievers. Nelson Mandela is big in Jamaica.
Mm.
Jamaica was the first country that had sanctions against South Africa because of apartheid. So he's huge. And I can say this now because time has passed, but when I was in university, we had on Taylor Hall, where I live, a lot of guys from the African National Congress, the ANC, who were wanted men, wanted dead or alive in South Africa. A lot of them were in Jamaica.
Wow.
We gave shelter to a lot of the guys from the ANC in Jamaica during the time of apartheid, but it was big secret then.
Wow.
you know. So yeah, definitely Nelson Mandela. So I just want to say to all my friends in Atlanta, it's never too late. I started law school at 39 years old.
Wow.
It's never too late to start a new path, in life. And disappointments will come, difficulties will come, obstacles will come. In fact, I found that the closer I got to ending a course, the more obstacles I faced, and I couldn't understand why. And and I think it's just the devil just trying for you not to achieve. You just have to keep going and just look at the light at the end of the tunnel. Nothing is beyond you. Nothing, nothing.
I got a story. I got a story about Tony Robbins. I keep stories. So I have that book. I have his whole set because what used to happen was late at night on TV, he would come on TV and he'd be doing his spiel about why you need to have unlimited power and all this kind of stuff. And I would buy everything he sold, the CDs, the DVDs, the book. I bought everything. And so I think it was probably 2011. I think it was 2011. He came to, not Madison Square Garden. He came to Secaucus in New Jersey. I used to live in Jersey. So he came to Secaucus, New Jersey. He was at the, oh God, the name escapes me. But he was at one of the arenas there. He had the fire walk, right? And they do it at night. I don't know why they do it at night, but they did the fire walk at night. And I remember, I was like, I'm going to do the fire walk. So the fire walk, for those of you who don't know, Tony has they take hot coal and they put it on the ground and you have to walk across the hot coal with no shoes on. And so there was a woman, and I can't remember her name, and she was a nice little woman. She was a little lady, and she was sitting with me the whole time we were talking. And she was, she had a problem with, gluten. She had a problem with gluten. So what's the medical term when you have like a problem with gluten? It's called,
it's an allergy. She have a gluten allergy.
Yeah, and it's a name for it. She named, celiose. Is it celiose?
Right.
Celiose. Okay, so she had that. And so we were talking like, we're going to do the fire walk. So they put you got to walk probably like, I would say a good probably 30, 40 steps on hot coal with no shoes on. So in my mind, I'm like you. I'm like, okay, I gotta walk across this hot coal, and I'm gonna get burned. So I'm gonna make it across. And this is what I'm telling myself. I'm gonna make it across. And I did. I made it across. I didn't get burned. She came right behind me, and she stopped right in the middle of the coal. And they had to take the water hose and shoot water all over the fire because she froze right in the middle and got burned. And I said to her, why'd you stop? She said, I don't know. She stopped right in the middle and got, so her ankle and the bottom of her feet were all burned up. So that was crazy, but I had to share that story. So, at the beginning of the show, y'all, I told y'all Dr. Glegg was supposed to be in studio with me, and I got the message that, like Secret Service was going to be all around me. So tell people one thing that nobody knows about you. That's not going to have, somebody trying to knock the door down.
I'm afraid of needles.
What?
I'm afraid of injections.
Really?
I'm scared of needles. Bad.
How?
I'm afraid of injections and needles. When you saw me took that vaccination, I had to really firm up myself. Yeah, I'm afraid of needles. Badly so.
I wouldn't have guessed that, being a doctor. That wasn't something I would have guessed. So he's a musician, he's an attorney, he's a doctor, and he's afraid of needles. And once he retires, he's gonna have a platinum album. And I'm gonna play it right. I'm gonna play like the #1 song right here on this show, because I'll still be doing this show, y'all. I'll still be doing this show. So listen, thank you so much for being my guest today. He's going to be on the panel. I don't know. It's going to be live streamed on Friday. So you'll get to get more of him along with some of his esteemed colleagues, which I'm looking forward to having a chance to talk to them as well. You'll get a chance to listen to this, watch the event on the Facebook pages. So make sure to go to Facebook Friday at 9 o'clock. We're going to kick it off at 9 o'clock. I'll be moderating the first half of the day. Senior DA Brenda Lopez will be moderating the second half of the day. You're gonna hear a touching story. I'm talking about a touching story about prostate cancer from a good friend. She's gonna tell her story about how prostate affected her and her family, and so you want to make sure you tune in, because if you have a male in your life that you love, you want to hear her story, and you want to hear the panels talk about prostate cancer and why it's so important for men to get checked early. Early detection. Dr. Glegg just said early detection is the key. It's just like breast cancer. They tell you early detection is the key. My mom had breast cancer twice. But because we took our mammograms annually, we would do this together every year, it was detected early and she survived twice. COVID, on the other hand, she wasn't lucky. But with breast cancer, she was lucky twice. And that was because of early detection. So make sure, if you guys want to see more of what we've been talking about tomorrow with even more powerful people, you want to tune in Friday. It'll be right there live for you on the Good Morning Gwinnett or on the DA's, the District Attorney page. So make sure to check out both. Thank you so much. How can people reach out to you if they want to have you as a guest? Because I've enjoyed you so much. How can they reach out to you as a guest on their show, or to find out more about the work that you're doing in Jamaica?
Well, they can always WhatsApp me. I have a special number just for WhatsApp. It's 876-884-3185. And I just want to, leave you with a word from Bob Marley, one of my superheroes. He has a song called Redemption Songs. And he says, emancipate yourself from mental slavery. None but ourselves can free our minds. And a lot of times the best motivator, the best person to motivate you is yourself.
Thank you so much. Listen, I don't even have to close it out. I'm going to close the whole show out after that. I normally give a word of inspiration, but he did it for me today. So thank you again so much for being my guest today. I look forward to talking to you again on Friday. I wish I had a chance to meet you. I know we were supposed to be talking about music, but I guess I have to wait. I'm going to visit Jamaica again. I haven't been in 30 years. Literally, my daughter's 30 years old. I haven't been in 30 years. Which is crazy because I go all places, but I'm going to visit Jamaica. And when I do, I'll be sure to stop through or call you or WhatsApp you and say, hey, I'm in Listen, wait, I got a question. I'm going, y'all, but I got this one question. Dr. Glegg, when I was in Jamaica, I had a fruit. It was about that big. It was green. It had a tough little skin on it. And when you eat it, it's amazing. But it leaves like this wax in your mouth. And I don't know the name of the fruit. It's like you eat it, it's delicious, it's sweet, but it tastes. I could just go like this and scratch like the little waxy out off my mouth. I don't know what it was. It was good though.
It sounds like star apple.
I think that's what it was.
It could be a star apple. It's a really nice fruit. Yes, it's a star apple. Once you say the stain, yeah, sounds like a star apple.
I had a star apple along with jerk chicken. That's all I ate while I was there in Jamaica. I'm going back to Jamaica and have more. Thank you again. Listen, enjoy the conference. I wish I had a chance to meet you in person, but maybe next time. I know the pandemic kind of shut down the whole, moving about, but perfectly next time you come next time you're able to come over here, we'll get a chance to sit and have like dinner and talk about some stuff, some music. I love music. My whole show I got a whole playlist for this show.
Well, thanks for having me, and I'll see you soon. And if you come to Jamaica, hit me up. We go to the beach. I will take you up into the mountains.
Yes, take me to the mountain. Yes.
Have a good time.
Yes. Well, you enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
All right, you too. All right, listen, guys, that's all I got for you today. I'm going to go to my last song. I hope y'all enjoyed that interview as much as I enjoyed doing it. I get some amazing people on this show. Georgette do a great job. She gets me amazing people. Other amazing people give me amazing people. So I'm always blessed when I can talk to amazing people, especially people who are doing great things in the world, trying to make our world a better place, because that's what we need. We need more people who can raise their hand and say, hey, listen, this is my expertise. I want to help. And I want to thank Dr. Peter Glegg for being my guest today and all of the amazing things that he's doing. For sure, if you want to see more of Dr. Glegg, be sure to tune in Friday at 9 a.m. The conference starts at 9 a.m. It runs to about 3 o'clock, so you're going to get some amazing people. Our very own DA, District Attorney Patsy Austin Gatson, she's going to be our keynote, as well as Dr. Glegg. They're going to be talking about mental health, prostate health, breast cancer. They're going to be talking about health in general, so make sure to tune in. I heard that I have another guest who's very, very well-versed in natural health, and I'm looking forward to being on that panel as well. Now, tomorrow, I won't be doing my show as usual, but I will be doing a live broadcast panel with all of the panelists as a press release. So there will be me and other panel media guests in the room asking questions. And this too will be live streamed, so be sure to tune into that. I'll be live streaming tomorrow on Zoom. Now the difference is I'll be on Zoom tomorrow because I have a whole panel of people in the press conference. So you will see the press conference live as well. So don't fret, you get the chance to see all of them. And if you can't make tomorrow, there's always Friday. All right, I'm going to go to a song. I will be back after this song to give you my closing remarks for today. So be sure to stick around and stay tuned.
Yeah, I'm tongue-tied, twisted around your finger like a piece of string. I'm winded, chasing after your ghost is real exhausting. I'm in love, but I don't think it's what I thought it was supposed to be. Love story, no guts and no glory. How did I get so dizzy thinking of you? I don't usually get like this. It's something about you I miss. Could it be we never had that kiss? Well, I don't usually get like this. 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 Reminded of how I met you, tried to catch you falling. Instead I fell off myself and I just can't stop falling. These wings are gonna flap for me if I keep waiting. Keep waiting, keep waiting, keep waiting, keep waiting. How did I get so dizzy thinking of you? I don't usually get like this. I don't get like it's something about you I miss. Could it be we never had that kiss? I just wanna kiss you. Well, I don't usually get like this. Get like this. Get like this. No, get like this. Yeah. Get like this. Yeah. Get like this. She loves me not. This bouquet is all I got. I'm dreaming, or could it be a future for you and me? She loves me, I know it's true. Or maybe I'm the fool for you. I don't usually get like this. It's something about you I miss. Could it be we never had that kiss? Yeah, I don't usually get like this. Get like this. Oh, get like this. No, get like this. Yeah, get like this. Get like this.
All right, listen, y'all know normally y'all don't see me behind the scenes dancing, but of course I'm having a technical issue, so I couldn't put the banner up, so I had to just sit here and dance with you guys. So I was like, okay, whatever. We had a great show nonetheless, and normally I'm dancing behind the scenes. The banner is normally up, and I'm like saying to myself, okay, now the banner don't want to come up. Listen, I love technology, but sometimes technology has its own mind, and that's okay, because I got through the interview with Dr. Peter Glegg, straight from Jamaica. I had a wonderful interview. Hope you guys enjoyed that interview. Listen, there's a lot going on in the world, a lot going on in the world. And one thing he said, I'm just gonna piggyback off that, is that you can do anything you want to do if you just believe hard enough. He's a doctor, he's an attorney, he's an amazing musician. He can do it all, and so can you. He said, there's nothing I can't do. I felt, when he said that, I was like, me too. There's nothing I can't do. And it's the truth, y'all. There's nothing you can't do. You just got to believe you can do it. The things that I've done in my life, if they put me in the box right now, I'll be okay with that, right? I still got a lot left to do. I believe that, right? I believe I still got a lot left to do. But I've done a lot. And sometimes it's hard to give yourself credit for the things that you've done. He said, I can do anything. He's right. So can you. You can do anything. But here's a question. Here's the hard question. I've been asking hard questions all week. Here's the hard question. You can do anything, but what will you do? That's the question. It's a hard question. What will you do? All right, listen, that's all I got for you today. If you missed any episode of this show, be sure to go to goodmorninggwinnett.com to listen to past episodes there. Also, be sure to follow me on Facebook at Good Morning Gwinnett. Follow me on Instagram at Good Morning Gwinnett, and follow me on the Twitter at GM Gwinnett. If you listen to this show on Apple Podcasts, find your favorite 2 episodes, give it 5 stars, subscribe, like, share, and comment. I appreciate you and love it in life for that. I'll be back again tomorrow with a different show like today, because today was my interview. Tomorrow is a whole panel, so be sure to tune in tomorrow to check out the panel. And if you want to ask questions, you'll be able to go into the Zoom room and ask questions there. If you are a member of the media and you would like to be in the panel with the panel to ask questions of the panel, email me Audrey at Good Morning Gwinnett, and I will send you a link for the media to come in. This is a press conference tomorrow, so it's not the Good Morning Show as usual. It is a Good Morning Gwinnett press conference. I have an esteemed panel that will be joining me, including our district attorney, Patsy Austin Gatson. She will be there too, as well as Dr. Peter Glegg. They're going to be there with his esteemed colleagues from around the world, Nigeria, Jamaica, Tuskegee. I'm excited about that as well. So that's a press conference tomorrow. If you want to be a part of that event, if you are a blogger, a podcaster, you work for a news station, you got radio, if you want to be a part so you can ask your questions, email me Audrey, AUDREY at Good Morning Gwinnett. That's 2 T's on the end of Gwinnett.com. Audrey at goodmorninggwinnett.com, and I will send you a link to join us if you are in the media. This is only for media. And if you are a blogger, if you are a podcast, if you are a radio show host, if you are a TV show host, if you are a news show host, and you want to join us tomorrow, you can email me Audrey at Good Morning Gwinnett, and I will send you that information out. All right, listen, that's all I got for you today. Remember, be safe out there. Keep your mask on, stay socially distant, wash your hands, and tell your family and friends you love them as much as you can, because today is just today. Tomorrow's not promised to any of us. I love you guys for listening. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you spent the last hour and 26 minutes with me, and I do appreciate you for that. I'll be back again tomorrow at 10 a.m., God willing. Until next time, my friends, until next time, make it a great day. Bye now. I'll be back tomorrow.
You've been listening to Good Morning Gwinnett. Make sure to tune in Monday through Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time to find out what's happening around Gwinnett. If you like this episode, subscribe now and share with your friends. To learn more about Noise Media Network, visit noisemedia.us.